Design has always been something many developers also want to learn about. Unfortunately, whenever they explore design related topics, they often feel intimidated because they feel that they do not possess a level of creativity or artistry to tackle the design part of app development. This is probably the reason why some would just stick to building an app and submitting it to the App Store without exploring the design part of things. But what if I told you that you can still achieve a great looking app even if you're not creative or artistic in nature, just like me? Hey Code Crew, it's JC here, designer at CodeWithChris, and I'll be taking over this week's app tutorial. So if you remember 2 weeks ago, we released a community poll to ask which design-related topic or tutorial you want us to do, and to our surprise, most of you actually wanted to learn how to design and eventually code a delivery tracker. So in this tutorial, we'll jump right into Figma and to do just that. You can access Figma on your browser by typing figma.com, or you can also visit figma.com/downloads and download the desktop app for free. If you've never touched on Figma before, don't worry because we have a lot of Figma basics tutorials that you can explore by clicking the card on top. Also, before we go deeper, when we say delivery tracker, that doesn't refer to something like Uber or any food delivery app. We don't want to get your hopes up because the design and development of something like that can be very complex. We'll just focus on something like a logistics tracking service like FedEx, DHL, UPS, you name it. And for this lesson, we'll just focus on designing two screens of such app, the homepage and the results page. Since we're all beginners here, we want this app to be simple, focused, and straightforward while still maintaining that fresh, clean, and modern look or UI. Like I mentioned, we will only leverage our problem-solving skills here and not much on the artistic or creative side of things. Don't worry, I'm sure that we'll still create a really good app design by the end of this tutorial, specifically one that looks something like this. So what you're seeing on screen right now is the finished product of the delivery tracker app. We'll use this as a reference so that we don't have to start from scratch, because if that's the case, this is going to be a very long video. Alright, so first things first, we need to make sure that we have the right plugins for our icons. We use icons 8 here at CodeWithChris, but you can definitely use other plugins out there on the Figma community. Simply click on the Figma button, click on plugins, and browse plugins in community and search for icons. So right here, you can see, click on plugins. Right here, you can see a lot of icon plugins that you can choose from. So we have Icons 8, Material Design Feather, and Font Awesome Icons. Let me reinstall this. All right. So once you have any icon plugin installed, let's go back. And then let's click on F, press F, or click on the frame tool, and click on iPhone 11 Pro or iPhone 10 preset. And let's name this as the home. Now we want to set the background color to something a little darker because we don't want pure white on our user interface. We need to have that level of dimension. So let's say this one's good. So this one is F7, F8, F9 if you want to copy this hex code. Next is to implement a layout grid system in this frame. So click on the frame, click on layout grid, the plus icon, then click on this dots here, click select columns, and then type in 4, give it a stretch margin of 20, and gutter of 12. All right, so this is the 4-point grid system, so every value should be divisible by 4 to make things responsive when they are scaled up or scaled down. So once that's done, you can actually adjust the color of this if you want something that's less obtrusive. So maybe blue, then put it something like that. 10. All right, that's a lot better. All right. So now next step is create that header. All right, so now that we have the grids and the background color, it's time to create the content on that screen. First things first is the header or the menu bar. So this is a simple menu bar. As you can see right here, this simple menu icon. So head over to your Icons 8 plugin or whatever icons plugin that you downloaded. Look for menu, just type in menu, and then just drag and drop on your workspace, as you can see right there. All right, so let's set this to 32. Make sure that it's big enough for the screen, and just drag it right there. So if you want to hide the layout grid, if it's still obtrusive or disrupting you, you can click on the eye icon here, or you can press Control G if you're on a Mac. All right, so now that that's clear, let's type in the main content of this home screen or homepage. Say, enter your tracking number here, or enter your tracking number is good. You can choose whatever font you like. Just make sure that it's in bold or size 24 or around that size. So let's drag it here. Let's make sure that it's aligned in our grid. All right. Next is that input field. So to create an input field, it's very simple. Just type in your placeholder first and a random number like that. And then press Shift A. Then that converts your text into an auto layout. So this is the input field. And then what you're going to do is to click on fill and make sure that it's on pure white. So that's 6 Fs. And make sure that the padding in this one is 20, 20, 12, and 12, or maybe 16 even. All right. Once that's done, put it here and just stretch it to the sides. Turn on the grids and then make sure that it snaps to the grids. Turn off the grids, and now you're done. You can also add a shadow here to add a little dimension. So click on Effects, click on the plus icon, drop shadow. Blur is 10, and the alpha is on 10, or the transparency is 10. You can also reduce that to 20 if you like. That's looking good. Also, the text is a little bit harsh. Let's convert this to regular and size 14. Now, next is we'll create a tip or a hint or instruction below this input field. So tip, press the plus icon to track multiple packages or multiple items. Just place that below the input field and adjust the color to maybe something like gray, or let's say something like this, and like that. That's a lot better. Enter a tracking number. Let's change this to one of our colors, CodeWithChris colors. You can choose whatever color you like, but for this instance, we'll be using CodeWithChris color blue. And then same goes for our input field placeholder. It will be something like that. I think the drop shadow is a little bit harsh still, so let's just make this to 5. All right, that's a lot better. If you want to adjust the gap between these two items, just click on one, then hold shift and click on another one. And then this is the gap between them, or the margins between them. So you can adjust them if you like. I would say 12 or 14 or 16. It's a lot better. So let's make sure that this is also 16. We'll have equal spacing between those three. So the next item on our list is the track button. So to create a button, just type in track, type in the text first, and then press Shift A, convert that to auto layout. Then make sure that this is 32, 32, 16, and 16. 16 on top and bottom, and 32 on left and right. And then convert the fill, press on fill, press on plus, then select the CodeWithChris blue, and then change the color of that text into pure white. That's a good enough contrast. And change the font intensity to bold. Right. And also, I think I'd want to change the corner radius of this. So if you click on this and select corner radius, type in 4, make it a little bit rounder. That's it. Then I think we should just make this same width as the input field. So as you can see, it's still funky. It's not placed in the middle. So what you're going to do is to just click on this frame or this button and just click on, make sure it's on horizontally and vertically centered, right? Just like that. So select all, make sure that it's aligned properly. And that's it. I think we have a very clean, very modern looking UI for the homepage. By the way, one last thing is to change this color to blue. Make sure that it's consistent across the screen. And also we forgot to add an icon here. So if you want icons, here, you have the plus icon here already. You just type in like that, then place it here. So this is the beauty of auto layout, because if you drag something inside that auto layout, it will automatically fit the item within it for you. So you don't have to worry about alignment issues and all those things. So click on the frame, the parent frame, and then click on space between, and that's it. And make sure that they're horizontally or vertically centered. And then let's adjust the colors of this to something like the CodeWithChris blue. All right, that's a lot better. Maybe 24. All right, that's a lot better. All right, so we are done designing our homepage. Next thing we want to do is to design that results page. So what we're going to do next is just to duplicate this homepage. You can press Command C or Command C and Command V, just copy paste the frame and rename this to results. And just delete some items here like that. And let's just keep this menu icon because we'll be needing that later. So next thing we want to do is to implement that previous icon or back icon. So go back to our icons 8 plugin and then press or look for back icon or left arrow, something like that. I think this is good. This is good. I think this one's closest. All right. So let's change this to 32. So by the way, make sure the constraint proportions is on because you want them to be in the same width and same height all the time. So go to selection colors, make sure that it's blue again. All right, so now that we have these two icons, you want to make sure that they are in the same row, all right? So the easy way is to place them just something like this, and you're done. But the more efficient, or I'd say a bit more advanced thing to do is to select them both and then press Shift A. And now you have them both in an auto layout. So when you press Shift A, they are now grouped together, but more importantly, they are now positioned within a container. So that makes them responsive when this device is scaled up or down. So make sure that this is 0 and this is space between. Snap this on the left and snap this to the right. So this is a lot better compared to what we did a while ago, because when you scale this down to a smaller screen, for example, then the icons will adapt to that size. So this is like one of the benefits of auto layout. If you learned auto layout in Xcode, this is basically the same thing. By the way, we need to make sure that our menu items are at least 44 pixels from the top. So just set this to 44 and you're good to go. Let's apply that here as well. So 44. So the reason for this is because we need to consider the notch on the iPhone, and that notch will take up at least, I think, 20 pixels of screen real estate. So yeah, that's why we put it 44 pixels from the top. All right, so next thing we need to do is to write that subtitle, something like "You are currently tracking." Since this is the results screen, we need to make sure that the user is tracking whatever number. So duplicate this, copy, paste, and then random number, something like that. And then estimated date of delivery. Let's say September 30, 2021. Now that's too big, so let's just set the font to regular, then 14. And then this one, you can keep it to 24, reduce the kerning, and then raise the auto. If you're currently tracking, reduce this to 16, bold, and auto, and then fill. Let's hide the grid for now. We are currently tracking. And let's change the color of this number to blue. Change the color of this to something like gray. I think gray is good. All right. So set this to auto as well. 0, or maybe -1%. Right. And then set this to regular. We need to make sure that this is also in gray. All right. We're currently tracking. Let's keep this back in bold. Make sure that the gap between these three are divisible by 4 as well. So maybe 4 as well. That's good. All right. So this is the fun part. So this is the results page or the tracking information. So as you can see, we have the date, the time, and the status of that order. So let's redo that here. Date, September, let's say 26, 2021. And then time, 3:54 p.m. And then we want to make sure that we're using military time so that we can avoid using AM and PM in the text. It also saves us from some space as well. Next is scheduled for pickup. And then, right, yeah, only 2 of them. All right, so they are all grouped together. Now, what we want to do is to make sure that scheduled for pickup is highlight, make sure that it's 18 or maybe 16. And the date and time are less emphasized, maybe 12, bold, or maybe just keep it to 12, keep them to gray. And scheduled for pickup is also in gray. All right, that's better. Now, let's also add circle, which will serve as an indicator of this item. Something like that. Make sure that it's aligned, Control G. My grids are not showing because the eye is turned off. So make sure that everything's aligned to the left. All right, so now that we have this indicator, next thing we want to do is to just group them and then duplicate them, hold Option and drag, hold Option, drag, hold Option, drag. And make sure that they are evenly spaced and all aligned to the left. So once they're evenly spaced, click on this margin and make sure that they're divisible by 4 again. So make sure that at least 16, or maybe if it's too tight, you can make it 24. And that's cleaner. All right. Next thing we want to do is to change the text here. So scheduled for pickup. Next is picked up by courier. Next is departed to shipping facility and arrived at shipping facility. September 29, September 28, and September 27. And maybe 19, 54, there's 7, 4, and 34. It doesn't really matter. This is just a template anyway. All right, so we're almost done with our design. I think we're 90% done. One last thing is to design that footer, which contains the recipient details. So let's just press F or our frame tool and then drag it here and then add the plain white color, hide grid because it's disturbing, and then just type in recipient details. And then another one is the name of the recipient. So I'd say Chandler Bing. And then the address of that receiver is 15 Yemen Road, Yemen, with a contact number of, I'd say, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 322 and 456. That's just a random number. And then we need to make sure that they are aligned, evenly distributed. And now let's make the font adjustments from here. So 24 or maybe 18, bold, auto, and I think that's cool. I don't think we should change that. All right. Chandler Bing 14 is okay, but I want to change the color of this to gray again because I don't like using plain black in our UI. The gray one is okay. So change this to blue. And there we go. We now have that UI. Now, if you want to be a little more advanced, just a little, you can press Shift A, and that converts them into an auto layout. And drag this container right here and name this as container, by the way. And drag this to something like this. So drag this from edge to edge and set the padding to 20 and then 20 again, and then 24 and 24. So now you can do it just like that. Oh, by the way, we forgot to change the color of this to blue. All right, so we are 99% done. One last thing is to copy this button right here, select the frame, results frame, and then paste, track, then just drop it below this container. And now you have the track button. And if they want to track another, there's a dedicated button just for that. All right, so we're almost done. We just need to do one last thing. So I promise this is the one last thing. So as you can notice, there's a lot of space here, so we don't want to waste that screen real estate. So we just need to make sure to drag this like that, and then place it a bit, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 for the pixels below that navigation. And once they're done, click on this. And now that's an evenly spaced out with you properly utilizing the screen real estate of the iPhone. And if you click on present, this is what it would look like on an actual phone. So when you enter your tracking number here, click on track, and then you'll be redirected to that results page. Alright, so that's how you create a very clean, simple, modern, and good-looking delivery tracker app in Figma. I hope you found this tutorial very useful because creating good-looking UIs doesn't really require a lot of creative thinking as others think it would. All it needs is an understanding of the user's behavior so that you can design and build an app that will surely make them happy. If you remember a while ago, I introduced you to powerful Figma features such as auto layout that lets you design components responsively. If you want to learn more about auto layout in Figma, then make sure to head over our website and enroll in our CWC Pros program because we'll be releasing an exclusive lesson about auto layout very soon. And if you want to learn more about designing in Figma or iOS app design, you should check out our iOS design course that's also exclusively on CWC Plus. As always, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next video.